All right, styling shapes and text boxes. This is fun. We just go in and we can say, hey, shapes. And you pick a shape and you say, okay, I want the shape here. And then you just draw it. Now, shapes always come with their own little background. So you can go shape fill and say no fill and have your outside shape. Or you can say, okay, I like the fill, but let's pick a purple. But then with this purple, uh, we don't want it to be 100% as it is right now. So we go into our format of our shape and we're going to say, okay, well, we can do a gradient, which can change how gradual it is. There's the light and there's the dark gradients. So we pick a dark gradient that changes some of that. We can go to our shape effects and we can say bevel and it'll pop out our shape just a little bit and pick, ooh, how do we want it to pop out? So we want it to pop out like that. And we can go, ooh, 3D rotation. We want it to kind of be off to the side just a little bit, or do we want it to be up or down, or let's choose this one here. So now this image is kind of like that, and it's leaning back just a little, which is very cool. But then we also want to add some transparency to it. To do that, we just want to go right-click, Format Shape. Now we have some more options when it comes to fill. We can change our gradients. This is really cool. Under here, I can say, well, maybe I don't want this one to be quite so dark of a color, so I can change it to lighter, and it changes the whole image. And say I want to change this one to more of a grayish color. Well, now we've got a much different look. Or if I go, ooh, I don't like that, I like the way it was before, Control Z, and maybe not. I can just go back here and put back the color that I had and say, okay, I like that gradient, but see, now I've lost the gradient. I want lighter, to do gradients, you want lighter colors mixed with darker colors. And you want these to be nice and dark to kind of add to your gradients. So here we'll go with, you can also go with more colors. If you're trying to take your color and just make it a little bit lighter, you can go into more colors and you have this whole wheel. You can pick a color, lighten, darken it, and that'll help change it as well. And we can pick this, go back to the purple, go back to more colors, and either lighten or darken that one. And it will just, everything that we do will change how the gradient is working and what it looks like. Now, on top of that, we can change its transparency. Now, if I'm using text, so say I like this image, but I also want to add text to it. I want to make sure my transparency is up so that the text will show through it. And that means the transparency on all sides, but you don't want it so far up that you can't see your color. So you have to be careful when playing with transparency, just recognizing, see, that's going to change how it looks. And it just depends on where you want it. Do you want it darker? Do you want it lighter? So now we've got this here. Then we do a text box. Go to Insert, Text Box, and you pick any text box you want. But for this, I would just want to use a simple text box. And let's just say we want this to be our title. So I'm going to Control X to cut that and Control V to paste it in. Now I've got this here. I can decide, well, what do I want to do with this? I don't want the text outline. I don't want the box outline, sorry. And so I want to use the shape options because I'm under text options right now. Under shape options, then I want silly me shape outline right here. Just click no outline and there it goes away. Then I can just click on the box if I want to change the font of the entire box. If I want to change the size of the entire box. If I want to do a little bit of text wrapping, I can change how it is. I can center it, whatever I want to do. And then I put that there and go, oh my goodness, look what happened. That's when I want to use my format shape. Remember again, right click in the box and go into format shape. And so then I just say no fill. So now I have my words inside my picture. Now the order that you do these does matter. So right now I have my words on top of my shape because my shape was created first and then my words. Now what if I was to copy my shape and paste it? Now I have my shape on top of my words, and that's where the transparency matters, because now, ooh, I can't see that very well. I can bold it. I can try any number of things to change what I've got here, and nothing will change that I can't see these words as well behind that. So that's when I can go in and add more transparency. Now remember, that's still going to lighten it up a bit if I'm adding transparency to it. So depending on the look you're going for will depend on how you want to set up your transparency and how you want to set up, are my words on top of my picture, is my picture on top of my words, or my image. And then I want to take this and move it up top here. Right now I have this set up. If I put it in line with text, I can't move it around. It's in line with the text. And then I want it up here, so I can either cut and then paste it up here. Now it's in line with the text up here. Now say I want it to have its own space. Other options are right here we have square, tight, through, behind. Now behind I would be careful with, because when you have behind then you put it behind text, sometimes it can be hard to get to your picture after that. Or if you do in front and you put it in front of your text, it can be hard to get to your text. So when using those features, I would be careful. Also, now that I did in front, that one little paragraph space is not enough to hold the picture because it is now in front of the text. So all of those things are things to take into account. I'm going to do square, and that puts it in between the text right there. I can go back to inline and have it how I had it before, and then I can see I can't center it once I've done it inline here. And so depending on what you're wanting to do, you play around with those to give it the look that you want. But now that it's in line, I can't put this. See, look at that. I can't put this on. So again, you play around, you figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work. If I do in front, I can always add spaces, and then I can arrange it how I want. But again, you still have to be careful with what you're using. Or I can do behind text so that the text pops out a little more. So there are different options in how you want to do it. A lot of it is design and deciding what you want to do, or playing around with the different options on positioning and styling and gradients and transparency, and all of those different things can just change the look, the total look of your document. So that is working with. Continuing on with text boxes, now with my text box I can do a lot of the same things that I could do with the shape. I can take it and I can go into here and I can give it gradients or textures that can change my look depending on what I want to play around with. I can also play around with shadows, reflections, 3D rotation. You can decide how you want it to rotate. See, I can rotate it like that. X, Y rotates it up and down. So if I want it to kind of match, you know, kind of lean with the shape, then here I've got an option where it can lean a little bit with the shape back into my text box. I can lean it down more, less, however I want to do it. The Z rotation gives it more of a diagonal look. And so you just kind of play around with that. You can play around with glow, which is with your text. Give it a glow on the text. You might want a color that will show up a little more. Kind of hard to tell. 8 point. Let's make it 12 point. Add some transparency, maybe a different glow. It's hard to tell, especially with the gradients that I have here, but you can play around with that. And so there's lots of different options once you're in here that you can play around with. Some of them you may not want to play around with if you don't understand how they work. Shadow, I can give it a shadow with black with the transparency, less transparency. Nope, that doesn't work. So yeah, some of these aren't going to work with the colors that I have, but these are different things you can play with. Really, it was just, give the shape its format and then try and match that with the text. When you click on the text, it will straighten it out while you're working with it and typing, and then put it back the way you had it. And now this way, I can have my image up here and my document here, though having it again in front can still cause some problems. You can have it top and bottom, but then again, trying to move the text box inside may or may not work. And to change which one's on top, a trick, I believe I already shared this, is to just copy and paste what was last. So if I copy the text box, then delete it, then paste it, now the text will be on top because it was the last thing used. And this way I can delete all these extra spaces when I have this guy set up for layout for the top and bottom layout option. So there's lots of different ways that you can play around and give your document just a little bit of pizzazz with some shapes, changing them up, and adding text boxes inside those shapes.